Hi, I'm Justin Ford with Ford's LLC. We're a full-service general contractor focusing on custom contracting in Naples, Florida.
How long have you been in this business?
So we've been in Naples 2 years, and then before that, kind of was in the custom world in Miami for around 7 years. And before that, I was doing high-rise glazing in Miami. And coming out of that, got into the custom world. And Miami is definitely a little extreme, and a lot of extreme details. Work with many 80, 100 Architectural Digest top 100 designers, and it was wonderful. I mean, we were able to source material internationally. We learned just phenomenal things. You really kind of have an influx of clients from many different areas around the world. So we have experience in everything from the ultra simplistic, ultra modern, which looks simple but very difficult to build, to the very strong Russian aesthetic. And so in between that, we really just were able to establish a wide range of talent, and then also sources for subcontractors, materials, and those kinds of things. And Naples is a very closed market, and I grew up here. So I knew the players, knew everybody was here, and just kind of respected them and admired them growing up. And my father was always in construction when we were growing up here. And so I was wanting to come back and was always looking for that opportunity. And 2 years ago, it presented itself very cleanly. So we made the transition and opened up just a small office on 5th Avenue. And it's been fun ever since. And we just see a lot of opportunity for growth here due to our kind of international knowledge and subcontractor base. And we have the ability to really just pull in subcontractors from Palm Beach, Miami, and just the relationships to make that happen, and not necessarily at a massive cost increase. And so like I said, just the systems we use and everything was really quite different than what I've seen. And sometimes I get looked at as an alien with some local subcontractors for certain things, but it just really kind of convinced me we have a lot to offer in Naples.
Did you study construction in school?
So I did for a very short time. I graduated from high school, and 3 days after, I started an internship at RC Aluminum, who was a very large window and glazing subcontractor in Miami. About 90% of the high-rise glazing was them. And in about 3 months, I immediately took over a $22 million project, closing it out, and a few $5 million renovations for them, while I was going to night school at Florida International University. And I kind of stretched a little bit and was taking some construction courses early on. And about maybe 3/4 of the way through the first semester, I had a teacher and we had a 10-question test, and it was a pass or fail. And one of the questions were how many parking spaces were constructed by this project. And so I saw the spaces, but then also read in the initial code that they had to provide 3 spaces for the spaces they did for public access. And they were on the drawing, so I wrote down the cumulative spaces, and I got my letter. He failed me on that test. And so I went back, scheduled a meeting with him, drove down to FIU just to meet with him, and sat down and showed him how even on the drawings he supplied cited this code. And I showed him how it was correct, and it was still part of the construction project. They had to pay for it. And he essentially said, I'm the teacher. I decided it was 6 spaces because that was on the actual property. And so I left that conversation, never logged into my account again, never went into my books again, and just decided I need to focus on work. And again, that doesn't work for everybody. Not a huge advocate of that, depending on what people want to do. But I just truly believe that's what enabled me to think out of the box. Because I just really kind of came from the ground up. And with my father being in construction since a young boy, even on this building, our first contract in Naples moving over was actually penthouse in this building, penthouse 4, and it overlooks a bridge right out here off of Mystique. That's the bridge that I used to come at night after my dad finished work at construction and fish with him on. And so growing up in construction, I just saw a lot of lack of knowledge in school. And again, not knocking anything. I mean, there's phenomenal people that come out of it, and people that work with us that come out of that. But for me, I just knew it wasn't the right step, and I just needed to focus on really building who I was. And so again, technically, dropped out of school at that time, really focused on work at RC Aluminum. And I was only there for about a year. And then I met a custom contractor that I knew growing up through my father, and we just kind of kept touching base. And the long story short, he asked me to replace sliding glass doors in the unit, and they were to industry standard. I was with the glazing company, so I showed him why, and I told him why not. And he called me that night and said he felt so good from me telling him no that I had to join his team. So over the next weeks or so, I closed out with RC Aluminum. and I went to work for him. And then funny enough, the first project I had was the owner of RC Aluminum, who bought a $6 million condo in that building. And so I just truly believe, do not burn bridges. And so I just proceeded to build his condo and bring a project with me, and then it just skyrocketed from there. And it just was a phenomenal experience and great learning.
Tell us a little bit about this building.
Sure. So this is Mystique, developed by Gulf Bay, and they're a phenomenal company, phenomenal developer. They've done tremendous amount of things in Naples, and I've been watching this building since before the economy kind of went a little crazy. And so it was supposed to originally come online, I may be wrong, around 2007, 2009, I believe, and then it was kind of pushed back to a little bit later, and then kind of pushed back until now. And so I was watching this building. It's really kind of my foundation to come to Naples, just because I knew that we would have some ins and some relationships here to be able to get some phenomenal projects that would really show who we are. And I'm very intentional that I didn't want to be the guy knocking on the door with no projects, nothing to offer in Naples, just asking for something. So we really wanted to establish ourselves before even being introduced to people I already knew or whatever it was with architects and those types of people in Naples. And so again, this was just really exciting to see this come online and kind of see it evolve over the years. And the developer just did a phenomenal project. And they have one more here that they're going to develop. And it's 72 estate units. It's regularly 4 units per floor, except for the second floor. And the penthouse units, there's 4 of them, and they each have a second-story pool deck on top, which is just incredible. And so our penthouse clients enabled us to do something very special and really kind of pour our talents out, and it really was just a relationship. And all of our clients, we provide full concierge services even after they long and gone. And I'm used to in Miami having a client that wanted their specific yoga in a specific place by this time when they arrive, and so we just kind of furthered that service here and really taking it to the next level. And the custom tailored construction is something we really take to heart. And so that's where we kind of go into custom billing, and we have our goal, building into Naples, to have an experienced coordinator for every single project. So they sit down with the client. How do you want to be billed? How do you want to be updated? How do you want these different things? How do you want to interact with us? And then that person will facilitate through the different management structures. And even going to our management structure, kind of going a little bit off base, but going to our management structure, we were, kind of, even when I was doing business cards, I'm writing down project manager. Well, even looking at Gary Keller, founder of Keller Williams, I didn't realize that he had even bought out the company after 2 years. So it was really his company growth, and realizing what he's done, he was very much against the term manager because, he kind of described it, and I took this description as a manager extracts more performance out of under-talented people. A leader leads already inspired people. And so we even changed our job titles from project managers to project leaders. And we want to keep from getting too cute to make confusion, but we also want to demonstrate just from every aspect of who we are, we're different. And it's not even a comparison, because we just want to be different. We want to serve the client to the maximum degree that we can. And it just never even felt right filling out business cards as project managers. So we're really just kind of trying to show the difference in the custom and just the caring. And we don't punch time cards here. We really enjoy what we do, and that's a staple of who we are. And so we really just look forward to serving clients and just finding a different level to do that. And construction, is a very interesting industry. In a lot of ways, it's hard to improve because of the massive amount of people that are involved, and that's why a lot of times it ends up becoming stagnant. And in the ultra high-end market, we kind of have an ability, financially and project and kind of material-wise, to really take that to the next level. And so that's why I've just been really excited that, I was blessed enough to end up in the kind of ultra high-end field where we've been able to kind of be who we are and be who I am. And it's really just been an awesome experience.
So what makes you guys different?
So this question inherently sometimes would cause comparison, and I kind of want to stay away from comparison because I just think you can get dragged down into just trying to up something that's already done, when I really just want to kind of start from the box new, kind of coming from even the college question. And really, we kind of had about a year into being in Naples, we really kind of had a struggle of really defining who we are. And I decided to, work on the company rather than in the company. And we kind of took a step back altogether and as a group, and we're defining who are we? Who do we want to be? What do we want to demonstrate? And that even came down to a personal level of each person that's gonna be involved in our team, where we require mission statements of each person involved in the team. And that's independent of our input. We're not trying to coach anything. We wanna know what wakes you up in the morning. Because every single person, whether they know it or not, they have a mission that was built into them through experience, nurturing, environment, whatever it was. There's something that wakes them up every morning and will for their entire life. And so, we have different structures and packages to try to bring that out of someone. And we really just push that, because my personal mission statement essentially comes down to, I want to inspire others to operate at the highest capacity that they can. And I really just realized how much that guided my life, my entire life. And I would be frustrated with friends when they didn't want to improve, and I'm frustrated with this, and it really kind of came down to, I just want everyone to be the best they can be. And through that causing inspiration, I realized that that's why I do what I do. That's why I ended up in this custom market, because being a car guy, and everybody has something or passion or a hobby that they thoroughly enjoy. And for me, being cars, when I sit in the highest form of that hobby, and being in Miami, and we had clients with Paganis and different things that just were at the extreme highest level, and you feel immediately inspired. You have chills come over your body. You realize the time and the labor that was spent, specifically Pagani. I mean, there's screws inside of the glove box have Pagani engraved on them. So seeing that, I was like, this is who we want to be in construction. We want owners to wake up in what we create and be inspired by what we pour into it. And at that point, it's not a labor, it's not a time clock punched. And I have the same discussion with anybody that's gonna join us from a labor standard. You are us. Like, we are not this single person or this one thing, but we are gonna be together, and we are gonna protect our company culture to ultimately inspire others to the nth degree. And I think through that and having that foundation, the symptoms that people normally treat of being late, not performing well, all these different things go away. And subcontractors that may not perform well for others may perform extremely well for us, because where there's a challenge or they have to rip something out, rather than like, oh no, we got to do this. It's like, this is your chance to be different. This is your chance to provide an excellent product, and this client is enabling you to do that. And so that's how we approach it. And while we're very financially conscious, we also want to know in our agreement with the owners is that we're here to create something special. We're here that when you wake up in the morning, you are inspired purely by the time spent on things that people may not consider important. And even in some of our marketing materials, I remember I wanted all these photos like 4 inches away from these different things, because I wanted to just show our obsession. And marketing team we were working with, as well as the magazine that this was going in, kind of emailed and said, like, look, you really shouldn't have these photos. Most people have kind of stand back, these awe-inspiring photos and all this kind of stuff. And I thought about it, and I just sent an email, and I just said, as much as I want to turn off the owners that think that's not important, I want to empower the ones that think it does. And also, they can't find a contractor who thinks that way. And again, going down to like the car thing, I kind of compare like Mercedes, phenomenal product. Lexus, phenomenal product. Range Rover, all these are phenomenal, amazing products. But they serve a purpose. And we want to be of passion. So like, we want to be the Ferrari, the Koenigsegg, the Pagani, all these different things. We want to be at that level. And it's not to make anything lesser or worse, because these other companies, they do a phenomenal product. And if you want a Mercedes, it's awesome. That's wonderful. There's nothing bad about it. But if you want something born of passion, that's us.
Tell us a little bit about your design experience.
Well, that's an interesting question, because normally this was ingrained in me, and then carried down through anybody that works with us, that if we're in a client meeting, and normally we would require that a designer is involved with the project that we're in. And if the client would ask, like, what do you think of this? What do you think of this color? We normally say, I'm a builder, and I kind of stick to what I do. And what we really mean by that is, sometimes that can come off as disrespectful, but what we really mean is just we focus on what we're doing. We truly believe in the differential powers of construction, and just having the different people that are just expert at what they do. And sometimes that's hard to understand in a residential project. It just kind of goes down to just, we want to create something special. And so the design that we're familiar with, again, you kind of mentioned the ultra modern, these different things, is and why it's different for Naples is it's not quite here yet in terms of some of the intricate details. And we have projects I'm familiar with, we worked on where everything's double layered drywall. Or actually, even coming to Naples, this is my first time in a long time even using typical drywall or some standard systems, because we would normally use fiber rock, which is kind of classified as aqua tough now, which is 30% more dense and a lot more heavier, but it also, it provides a 150-pound pull rating on a screw, extreme sound deadening, and you can relatively hang any artwork in your entire house, let alone for ceilings. We can actually plane and recess tape and mud in trims to make things extremely level. And even to the framing systems, when I came here, we had some different walls to frame that needed some sound isolation. And I said, okay, well, let's just use the kinetic system. And prominent drywall framers were kind of looking at me cross-eyed. And so, we were familiar with, kinetic isolation system where no metal touches metal, the stud does not touch the floor, isolated by rubber washers, nothing shot in, everything was tap conduit, and not to get too technical, but everything isolated by fiberglass. And so our systems, we just kind of operate at what I kind of say a world-class level in terms of we're just familiar with world-class systems, not necessarily segregated to one environment. And that's why even you'll see the people from our team will probably be from different parts of the country, and a lot of that is intentional, just to make sure that we know every facet of construction, because we don't want to get too narrow-minded. And just like even in my personal home, as well as at work, if somebody says, hey, you have an issue, or hey, there's a problem, we're like, oh my goodness, that's amazing. How can I improve? Like, where can I improve? And that's a lot easier said than done. But we really try to have that mentality where negatives are not negatives. They are purely a room for improvement, and that is exciting. And because I truly believe there's kind of just an issue culturally where, it's wonderful that, everybody has inherent value. Everybody is special. Everybody needs to be loved and cherished and respected. But as we tell people, you're okay where you are, that's phenomenal. But at the same time, you're also telling somebody there's no room to improve. So somebody that may be in a negative part of life, and you're saying, no, you're okay where you are, you're wonderful, and they're like, oh, my life is not good. So that just means you're at the level. So that's why we try to reverse that script and say, you're not okay where you are. You got tons of room for improvement. How awesome is that? How awesome is your future? How much can you build? How much better can you be? And then that really just turns around what's important. That makes obstacles get exciting. And so again, like we just kind of embrace that in construction. And the old saying that's like, I've been doing this 25 years, is said probably 5,000 times a day on every construction project. And we really just kind of throw all that out. And rather than making it a negative, make it a difference where technology is improving exponentially past what we've ever seen. All these different things are changing. So what a time to just throw the ego out the window and say, hey, we can be better, and how exciting is that? Because all that means is tomorrow will be better. And so again, we just embrace that concept through all of our construction, kind of going back to, we're about foundations of mentality, foundations of state of mind, and then all of the symptoms, the work ethic, all of those things come from these. And again, all tying back to my personal mission statement of just really to inspire others to operate at their highest capacity. And so again, that's who we are. And so it translates all the way down to how we screw our studs in the floor.
Okay, Justin, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
No problem at all. I thoroughly enjoy discussing who we are and again, inspiring others.